All right, well, hello. Today, I'm going to talk about the common factor between gaslighting and the straw man fallacy, namely, the conscious or subconscious desire for control that one cannot obtain by regular means. I will also go over what the equivalent of being gaslighted is in everyday argument and how to shield yourself from being strawmanned. Okay, you've probably heard of gaslighting. Roughly defined, it's an attempt to distort the victim's sense of reality. When you're gaslighted, you question yourself, your thoughts, your memories, everything. So, examples of what a gaslighter would say are I have never done that. Oh my gosh, you're making this up. You've been doing this a lot lately. You're so sensitive. You know, what I did is normal in a relationship. Wow, you're basically saying I'm a really bad person? How can you do this to me? Okay, one disclaimer. I often see people labeling other people as gaslighters because they've said one specific thing. But remember, that's all circumstantial. For example, if someone accuses me of something that I never did, then I'm gonna say I never did that, and I'm not a gaslighter for that. Anyway, speaking about the people who intentionally gaslight, why do gaslighters gaslight? Well, one of the reasons is to gain control. Gaslighters know that if they let reality present itself without distortions, they might lose control. And this is where the straw man fallacy is so similar. First, what is straw man fallacy? A straw man fallacy is when someone refutes the point that the other person did not actually say or imply. So they build a straw man version of your argument. They distort it or they exaggerate it or whatever, and then they punch that straw man, hoping that by doing that, they punch you. And why would someone do that? Again, control. They want to have control of the argument. And because it's otherwise hard for them to win the argument, they want to make your point something that's easy for them to refute. Okay, so for example, if person one says something like, I think the gaming industry and community should be more inclusive of women. And person two to that could strawman and say, oh, I don't think we should require pro game teams to recruit women. Men are often better gamers than women, and if we recruit women for the sake of it, then the games will become really boring and people might not watch it. This is maybe an exaggerated example, but you get the gist, right? Person two made it sound like person one's argument was about, requiring pro teams to recruit women as gamers. And then person two started punching that straw man version of the argument. So then, what is the equivalent of being gaslighted in an argument like this? It is becoming that straw man and refuting their points. Remember, you never made those points in the first place. Don't be gaslit, into thinking that you actually made those points. So don't, waste your time and energy being like, oh yeah, well, I think some female gamers are better than male gamers. Also, what's the source of your evidence? And I also think that games could still be fun to watch even if women played in it. Don't engage with the points that the strawmanner, this person who strawmanned, made. Because by doing that, you're doing what they want. You're letting your argument become the strawman version. You're giving them permission to run with it and stray off your original point. Another thing you shouldn't do is, going and doing that brain work of making sense of their strawman argument and making it relevant and somehow tying it back to your argument. Don't do that either. So in this example, don't say something like, oh, do you mean that the gaming industry becoming more inclusive necessarily involves pro teams recruiting women. Obviously, you should ask questions like this in, an educational setting or in a productive setting where, you assume the best intentions from the other person. When I say don't say something like, what I just said, I mean when it's clear that the other person is trying to manipulate and strawman you for the sake of winning the argument. You get what I mean, right? Because then, in my experience, the other person will start nitpicking that link and say you misrepresented them, and the argument becomes about that, and it gets messy. The argument goes nowhere. So then, Julie, what do you suggest? Yes, of course. It's time to tell you. Instead, why do I make that voice? For entertainment. So instead, when someone strawmans you, do not engage with their points in any substantial way. Just say 3 things. 1, that's not what I said. 2nd, can you explain how your point relates to my original argument? So you make them do that work, right? And 3rd, and perhaps most important, is should I clarify my point again? And you want to do this because you want to give them the benefit of the doubt and make sure it's not that you presented some obfuscated argument that was hard to understand for them. So after saying these 3 things, do not refute them further until they actually engage with your original points in a fair manner. And lastly, to avoid accidentally strawmanning, always ask clarifying questions instead of assuming that the other person meant something. Haha. All right, I hope this video was fun for you. Please comment below and let me know what you think. Have you ever been strawmanned? How do you respond to that? And also, you might think, when are you going to come back? Are you going to have this long ass interval like you did last time? But as you can see, I have a new studio. I have a new camera. I have new equipment, which signals my commitment, my renewed commitment to YouTube. So I hope to bring you more content soon. And for now, have a philosophical week. Bye.